co-director, Professor Kumar Kakani, whose lessons and motivations have brought an optimistic transition to this institute and who's been an instrumental part in organizing this event. Sir, we thank you for your contribution, and we would like to invite you to please give the welcome address to our guests.
Can you please have a big round of applause for sir?
Honorable Minister of State, Srimati Renuka Singh ji for Tribal Affairs. I thank you, Madam, for being here. And Shri Sanjeev Parashar, convener of this program. Esteemed international guests, reputed panelists, and lovely delegates. I welcome each one of you to this particular program. Let me begin with a line from our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's speech on behalf of India while picking the baton in November 2022 at Bali. He mentioned, "We'll participate in this unique celebration of G20. Together we'll make the G20 a catalyst for the global change." This Y20 Youth Summit consultation today on peace building and reconciliation is a step in that direction. Peace-building processes are complex and interconnected. Recent experiences across the world emerging out of societies which are emerging out of violent conflict show some common themes and challenges. So I'll possibly spend some time in theming or mentioning about the 6 kind of themes that are experienced from the literature or from the, you can say, recent history of conflicts that are there, from the books that are there, and afterwards we'll see how this lovely consultations with a wonderful audience that's there happens. So let me kind of mention some of the common themes and challenges that are there. First is the top-down vis-a-vis bottom-up approaches and the need for local ownership. You see, one is the paternalistic, feudalistic societies that are there, wherein there is a fair amount of top-down challenges that are there and the bottom-up approaches that are there. While both are feasible, but there is a need for local ownership. So let me start by giving you the example of South America, wherein the Colombian government and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia in 2016 signed a peace agreement after 5 decades of armed conflict. However, the implementation of agreement faced challenges due to lack of involvement and consultation with local communities, leading to protests and delays. It was only when local communities were given more agency and ownership in the peace process that progress was made towards reconciliation and building lasting peace. Attempting at building national unity through truth and reconciliation commissions. That's the second theme which is there. So for this, I'm sure many of us are aware that in South Africa, the TRCs, that is these Truth Reconciliation Commissions that are there, is a notable example of success. While one can always say that there have been some, you can say, issues, but South Africa established TRC in 1995 to investigate and document human rights abuses committed by all sides during the era of white minority rule. The TRC provided a platform for victims and perpetrators to share their stories and seek amnesty, while also offering recommendations for reparations and institutional reforms. While the TRC was not without controversy, many South Africans credit it was helpful in building a more just and cohesive society based on our Nelson Mandela's role, especially the primary role of Nelson Mandela. The third theme is essentially about promoting reconciliation through grassroots traditional processes that are there. So here, I'm sure many of us are aware that the way ethnic groups are there in Africa, Americas, Asia does have fair number of ethnic groups out there. So reconciliation in Indonesia has been promoted through traditional cultural processes such as the gotong royong concept. This concept is a traditional way of working together in Indonesian communities. And let me also share that yesterday I was talking to Youth Consultation Summit delegates. We have about 22, you can say, primitive tribes which essentially are there from various parts of India, right from Ladakh to the Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh to down south Kerala. And they yesterday evening when I was having a small, you can say, session with them, they were also mentioning, look, we understand what are these grassroots solutions are about. And we know how we feel when we are not involved in the consultation processes that are there. For example, they were saying, you see, when there is a honeybee hive, we only pick up what we need. We do not kind of completely, you can say, look at efficiency or look at completely taking out the complete honey and throwing off the remaining out, that is leaving nothing on the table for the remaining bees out there. We ensure that they also live, and when we take the honey, we also say, sorry, we need this much for surviving for ourselves. Rest is for yourself, please. So that's essentially on promoting reconciliation through grassroots traditional process. The idea is, you see, the gotong royong concept has been used in Indonesia to rebuild communities after natural disasters and resolve conflicts. The idea is to unite people to work towards a common goal and find solutions to their problems. The fourth theme is the challenge of dealing with secessionist movements and terrorist groups. You see, dealing with secessionist movements and terrorist groups is a complex and challenging task for any government. In Europe, there have been numerous examples of such groups causing unrest and instability. We have the Basque separatist group in ETA in Spain. We have the Irish Republican Army, IRA, in the UK. These groups often have deep-rooted grievances and seek to achieve their goals through violence and disruption. Governments must balance the need to maintain law and order with respect for human rights and freedom for expression. Additionally, counterterrorism efforts must be carefully crafted to avoid exacerbating the very grievances that are there, that underpin these movements. Fifth issue is the issue of refugees' right of return and reintegration, especially of the former combatants, particularly child soldiers that are there. For example, in Syria, the civil war has displaced millions of people, and the return of refugees is a significant challenge due to the destruction of infrastructure and the ongoing violence in some regions. However, achieving peace and reconciliation is necessary for creating the conditions for refugees' safe and sustainable return. It requires efforts to rebuild infrastructure, provide security and justice, and address the grievances that led to conflict. The sixth theme is the role of inter-community dialogue and public health systems in building stable, peaceful societies. Let me kind of take you through the example of Rwanda. After the genocide in the late 90s, the government prioritized building a robust public health system and promoting inter-community dialogue as crucial components of the country's reconciliation and development efforts. The country has made significant progress in reducing infant and maternal mortality rates, increasing life expectancy, and improving overall health outcomes. Additionally, inter-community dialogues initiatives have helped to promote peace and reconciliation between different groups, contributing to Rwanda's remarkable transformation in recent years. You see, these examples listed above are very small and on 6 themes. We have seen these issues being reflected in wide range of other countries through recent events, for example, Ukraine, Russia, Afghanistan, Canada, Ethiopia, Kosovo, Sierra Leone, Sudan, Palestine, Nepal, and of course our neighbor countries, and also there will be minor conflicts and at almost all these places that are there. Point is, 8 billion people live in this world, and we say that it is one family, one earth, and one future. Now, in a family, building that unity in 8 billion members is a tough ask. It's a tough ask, but who has the primary role to define it? It is the youth. Youth constitute 15% of this 8 billion. 1.2 billion people out there are youth. They come in this category of 15 to 30 years age. And I would like to say that, my dear friends, this youth summit is not for people like me who are above 40, 50 and possibly touching 60s. At the most, we can possibly share some experiences, share some reflections. It is about the youth. It is about you. Thus, I request the youth, मैं चाहता हूँ आप लोग जो है, यहाँ की युवा जो हैं, they enjoy this particular youth summit, they share their thoughts, they share their questions, they participate in it, and they mix up with the panelists and the discussants. हर सेशन अगर आपने देखा होगा शेड्यूल में, हमने आधा समय सिर्फ स्पीचेस के लिए दिया है, पैनल डिस्कशंस के लिए दिया है, और आधा समय हमने दिया है क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर के लिए. हम चाहते हैं जो हमारे मित्र यहाँ दूसरे भागों से जो आए हैं, छत्तीसगढ़ के 23 जिलों से जो आए हैं, हम चाहते हैं वो अपनी आवाज़ बताएं, वो अपनी सोच बताएं, वो अपने सवाल पूछें और वो बताएं. हम नहीं चाहते हैं कि हम इधर से बोलें 40, 50, 60 साल से ऊपर वाले उम्र के और आप सुने ना. ये यूथ समिट जो है आपके लिए है. आप पूछें, आप पार्टिसिपेट करें, हम ये ज़रूर चाहेंगे. So thus we request you to enjoy this Youth Summit consultation process and share your views as well as your questions with the members and speakers throughout the day. Your views are most important and you are the future of the world. You see, given that morality levels change with time, देखिए 400 साल पहले क्या पर्दा ठीक था? शायद ठीक था. आज पर्दा ठीक है क्या? शायद ठीक नहीं है, बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं है. तो क्या होता है, समय के साथ में मोरालिटी लेवल्स क्या सही है, इसके मापदंड बदलते जाते हैं. तो आपके क्या मापदंड है आप डिसाइड करेंगे, हम नहीं डिसाइड करना चाहते हैं. ये Y20 और यूथ समिट और यूथ कंसल्टेशन आपके लिए है. तो ये चीज़ मैं चाहूँगा कि भाई it's essentially given that morality levels of what is correct and appropriate keeps having higher benchmarks, and also given our history showcasing that wars and conflicts benefit only a very small narrow group. If you see, it just benefits possibly the arms manufacturers or possibly 1 to 2 guys who possibly hold the levers of power out there. So the time has come for us to abandon such thoughts of wars and conflicts and move towards a future of peace through peace building and reconciliation. While that was about peace and reconciliation, peace building and reconciliation, let me also take this time that, you see, each one of you, for example, Madam, Renuka Madam, she took all the time to come here from her busy schedule that was there. मैं आपका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ कि आपने इतने समय में आपने हमारे लिए समय दिया मैडम. और if you see, this panel is not about one type of people. एक तरह के लोग नहीं हैं. जैसे हमारे पैसिफिक फोरम के डायरेक्टर हैं रॉब यॉर्क जी, आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. और हमारे जर्मनी के जर्नलिस्ट हैं जो कि सीरिया, लेबनान और कंबोडिया इस तरह के मुश्किल जगहों पे, जहाँ पे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो रहा है, जहाँ पे दो समुदाय या दो समाज जो है एक दूसरे से बातचीत भी नहीं कर रहे हैं, लड़ रहे हैं, वहाँ के जर्नलिस्ट भी आए हैं जो वहाँ काम करते हैं यूरोप से। तो फ्रांस से जो है हमारे डॉक्टर फिलिपो एवनो आए हैं, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और तो जब इतने इंटरनेशनल डेलीगेट्स आए हैं तो मैं ये भी बताऊंगा, यहाँ पे ब्रिगेडियर पनवार साहब है जो कि बॉर्डर लेवल पे, ही इज़ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट नॉन ब्रिगेडियर आउट देयर। ब्रिगेडियर पनवार्स कंट्रीब्यूशन इन द हिस्ट्री इज कांट बी इग्नोर्ड, वी काइंड ऑफ ग्रेट आउट देयर, सो ही इज़ टेकन हिज टाइम टू कम हियर। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर आपका। और उसके बाद में जो है कठिन जगहों में पुलिस ऑफिसर बन के आए हैं, जैसे हमारे मोहित गर्ग साहब, तो श्रीनगर जिला के कलेक्टर कश्मीर से आए हैं अपना खास समय लेके, एजाज भाई बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। तो अजय सिंह साहब यूएस से आए हैं, ही बोडोलैंड के सबसे पहले जो है एग्रीमेंट इन्होंने साइन किया था 1990 में, तो वो भी अपना समय लेके आए कि भाई किस तरह होता है। कोकराझार के ये जिला के डिप्टी कमिश्नर थे उस समय। तो आसाम मणिपुर के जो आईएएस अफसर थे और जो कि बहुत जगह काम किए हैं और नीति आयोग में अभी भी एडवाइज़र हैं, प्रेम सिंह बौगची साहब आए हैं। डायरेक्टर ऑफ यूथ अफेयर्स एंड स्पोर्ट्स जो कि पुलिस ऑफिसर भी हैं, पंकज जी भी आए हुए हैं। एंड बहुत सारे एमिनेंट डेलीगेट्स हैं। And I really thank from the bottom of my heart to each one of you for being here, and especially the international delegates. It's our honor that you are here. Our academic partners also have come, and it's so nice to see our friends from GNDU Amritsar to all the way to Guwahati out there and Manipur University out there. It's so lovely to see each one of you. In case you have any trouble, we'd be very happy to go out of our way to kind of help and ensure that this program is meaningful to each one of you. And thank you so much. Thanks again.